The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the following contest, our YouTube exclusive content here at the 20x20 Ring Crew. Again, we are available at 20x20crew.com, where you will find all of our past episodes, except for this episode, because this is a YouTube exclusive in the form of the following contest. There's a few things I have to say here before we start fantasy booking here, Matt.
Yeah.
First of all, I am Joe. He is Matt. What's going on, Matt?
What's going on?
We are known as the 20x20 Ring Crew. The subject matter for this particular episode is the one and only Second City Saint himself, CM Punk. Now, I am a fan of CM Punk, but admittedly, I wouldn't call myself any form of super fan or anything like that. I enjoy his work. I watch a lot of professional wrestling, but I couldn't call myself a super fan. I couldn't call myself a hardcore fan. But I definitely do enjoy him.
Okay. That's a fair point.
You, on the other hand, much more of a fan than I am.
Yes.
You and I got to meet him in Chicago at C2E2, the gigantic pop culture convention, which, if any of you have not been, please go. It is definitely
quite the sight to see.
Yeah. You said it, man. We bring up CM Punk now, well, I do anyway, because of a little company called All Elite Wrestling. Ever since this company has been officially started, it has been put out there numerous times by Cody Rhodes, who is one of the executives of the company, who has stated, again, numerous times, CM Punk will always have a place in All Elite Wrestling should he choose it.
Yeah.
That still stands today as we record this podcast. So we have taken the time out for this episode to fantasy book everything that is CM Punk. And quite honestly, I wouldn't want to do it with anyone other than you. You are the penultimate CM Punk fan, at least that I know. And I know a lot of shit about wrestling and a lot of wrestling fans. So I'm gonna stop boring people here, and I'm going to let you have at it. I will comment back and forth as I see fit, but I am dying. I'm dying to hear what you've come up with, because we've been talking about this for the better part of a month.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of thinking time in our neck of the woods as far as drumming up stuff for episodes. So let's hear it, man. Who do you got?
Well, I'm going to start with the match, the greatest match that never happened. And it really starts with what would define CM Punk's career in WWE. And that was the match that was supposed to happen against Chris Benoit.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Of course, Chris Benoit, he is now known for the tragic double murder-suicide that occurred back in June of 2007. But what some people forget, a lot of people forget, is that night in which he took his life, or supposedly took his life, I don't remember the exact timelines and all that stuff, but it was at a Vengeance pay-per-view. It was the final round for the vacant ECW championship, which was dropped by Bobby Lashley because he was moved to Raw. It was CM Punk versus Chris Benoit, a guy who went down to ECW, that brand, for matches like this, against up-and-comers within the company, and to help establish them, maybe even get them over. And what a perfect guy that would have been. CM Punk mentioned the night afterwards on Raw during Chris Benoit's. At the time, they didn't know what was happening, so there was a lot of wrestlers who were giving their condolences and everything. CM Punk mentioned this was his dream match. This was it for him. And I think it's fitting to start this show with the match that if CM Punk were to book himself in a fantasy match, it'd be this, Chris Benoit. Again, what a lot of people call the greatest match that never happened.
I tell you what, that is one hell of a match to start off the show. I literally have no words. I mean, Chris Benoit, those of you who know me, those of you who've talked to me online or in person, I love me some Chris Benoit. Always have, regardless of what happened outside the ring. He is still one of the best professional wrestlers of all time.
Yeah,
you cannot take that away from him.
When you're basing the wrestling, you're judging the wrestling, absolutely. One of the most important wrestlers.
Yeah. To have him go up against the likes of CM Punk, especially at that time.
Yeah.
Like, what a huge opportunity, not just for them two, but for the company. I mean, it easily could have revitalized the ECW brand.
Yep.
They would have had some meat actually stick to the bone, so to speak. And it could have led to something a hell of a lot different than what happened for that brand.
I mean, because remember that Chris Benoit was put there in the same position that Kurt Angle was the year prior. And Kurt Angle split. Mm-hmm. Chris Benoit was the guy. And Chris Benoit was a perfect guy for young talent because he was so tough on everybody in that ring. If you're going to be the next big thing, Chris Benoit was the guy you had to go through.
And you know what? Not to get too off topic here, but for those who don't know, at that time, Chris Benoit was not happy about having to go down to ECW.
No, he wasn't.
He was not happy at all, which made him even that much more pissed off, fueled up, fired up, what have you. So it was just going to translate over to many more physical matches. I really do feel sorry for whoever got in the ring with him had he stuck around and things not happen the way they happened. Yeah. Because let me tell you, it would have been old school Chris Benoit, I'm going to break your face all the damn time, whether we're on TV or not.
and given the type of guy that CM Punk is, look, I got to throw this out there right now. Sure. I understand why there's a love-hate relationship with CM Punk. I understand that. He's like, and I'm probably going to get heat for this one, but just in his personality alone, he's like the Dave Mustaine of pro wrestling. You never know what you're going to get with him.
That's fair to say.
There's times where he is, like when we met him, a great guy to, he just a pleasure to meet, and it was such a great moment for me to finally meet somebody like that who I've loved to watch for a long time now, but then you can get the CM Punk or Dave Mustaine that is a complete utter douchebag to you, and it can happen in the snap of a finger. I mean that's the type of guy he is. I get that. But just like Chris Benoit, I judge it based off of his wrestling, and for me, CM Punk is the guy that was ready for the next plateau, and I think he would have given Chris Benoit a great match, certainly because he's a guy that he idolized in Chris Benoit, and this was like one of his dream matches. I don't think this is without a doubt. This is one of those, when it's called the greatest match that never happened, or one of them. I don't argue that at all, because I know that CM Punk would have been at his absolute best, and Chris Benoit would have been ready for it.
Chris Benoit would have not let him be anything but at his best.
Absolutely.
I love the idea of this match happening. Especially in that situation where they are going and doing it under the ECW brand. Mm-hmm. It would have been an easy way to kick off that brand and just engulf it in flames, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you had to do something for that brand because it was a dying breed from the get go.
Fuck, dude! I was so excited when they like we're bringing ECW back and it's going to be on Sci-Fi, and then the first thing that comes out from beyond that curtain is this fucking bootleg ass Universal Monster type looking thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I remember throwing my remote onto the floor, and I was livid. I was like, I can't believe this bullshit is happening.
And Paul Heyman was there.
Yeah, that made it much worse.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was doomed from the get-go, and, just very much like a Punk and a Benoit, they would have defied the company as a whole and put ECW on their backs. This easily could have been match one of a phenomenal rivalry.
I can't say it any better, man. Just like WCW did with Booker T and Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
That would have been one hell of an angle to go through with Angle. I'm sorry. That would have been one hell of an angle to go through with Punk and Benoit.
Absolutely.
Multiple matches over, a few months or what have you. That would have been awesome. I mean, I do take my money.
Absolutely, all day long. Another great match that I have is again a guy that we talked about earlier, a guy that split from the company before CM Punk ever got a chance to get in the ring with them, and that is Kurt Angle. Punk and Angle, again, two other guys, especially 2006 Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle, yeah.
Because there was nothing more intense. And Samoa Joe got a taste of that when he left to go to Impact, or TNA at the time. There was a different level of intensity that, again, like a Chris Benoit, it was hard to get in that ring with him and not be at your best because he demanded it.
He was a man on a mission.
Yeah.
He was. Again, you're absolutely right. I would have loved to have seen that. But for my money, it would have been much more interesting outside of the WWE.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
Angle was tearing it up in TNA, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
When he first got there, again, it's very much like what you see now, and when people leave WWE, it was just they were free. they were definitely free from the bullshit, and you got a different level of it. There was no, okay, you can do this X, Y, and Z. It was just go out there. You have X amount of minutes. Go do it. Go do the damn thing, and that's where CM Punk, I feel, would have thrived, because CM Punk, a lot of times, he feeds, and this is where I have my issues with Punk, he feeds off the energy that's given back to him. And that's where I think some people have an issue with him, where if he's not giving back what he's giving, he kind of just folds a little bit, and you kind of get a subpar finish. Where if you get somebody like Kurt Angle, who's ready to go from the get-go, I mean, Punk's going to give it right back. And, I mean, what a hell of a match these guys would have had. I would have loved to have seen, the ankle lock and the elbow drop and all that in this match, and see all the false finishes that would have occurred in this match. I do think 06, especially 06, Kurt Angle would have taken it, though.
Yeah?
I do.
Wow.
I do. Not many people could beat that version of Kurt Angle.
Yeah, you're right.
I would just ask Samoa Joe, and let's say CM Punk were to travel internationally. There's a laundry list of guys that I have. I would love to see him go up against, but let's talk about a series of matches, let's say throughout 1 year span.
Okay.
And the type of back and forth storytelling these two can tell, because they're so much alike, but because they're so unorthodox, they're so different. And that guy that I'm referring to is CM Punk versus Tetsuya Naito. And just a battle of wits, a battle of two characters that would try to one-up each other inside the ring as far as outdoing the other. But when it came down to it, scrappy as hell. And CM Punk gets a little taste of strong style.
that is something I would have definitely loved to see, just in general, CM Punk getting a taste of strong style.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we have not been able to see that. There's so much I think he could have done.
Yeah.
And it would have been interesting to see how strong style changed him, because it would have. It would have definitely changed CM Punk, and I think for the better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have. I think it would have brought him to another level of his career.
Yeah.
And possibly defined him completely. Let's face it, there are not many guys at this point in time when Punk was around that were legitimately straight edge.
Right.
And Punk was one of them. So yeah, it would have been interesting to see how much of the culture he took on. What he chose to adapt into himself.
Mm-hmm.
There's many layers to this that I genuinely find interesting. But to start him off with Naito, fuck. I don't know if I would have started him off with Naito, but yeah, that's definitely a match. Dude, take my money. Take my money 10 times over.
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely love to see that match. Whether it be taking place in Japan or in Mexico.
Right.
You know?
I'm going to stay in Japan only because as of this recording, he's recently returned to Japan. This is a match that I would not want to see in WWE. But a lot of people throughout the years have had an issue with him using his finishing move because it was stolen, if you will.
Okay.
And it was stolen by a guy by the name of Kenta. And that's the go to sleep. Of course, Kenta invented that move. That's the match. But before we talk about the match of CM Punk versus Kenta, which I would love to have seen in anywhere, but especially outside WWE, because again, Kenta did spend time in WWE as Hideo Itami. What was your take on seeing CM Punk do the GTS? Did he do it justice, or was it not at the right standards?
For me, no, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't up to standard. Again, he's a product of the WWE.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't matter what era you're talking about. You're muted.
Yeah.
You're not able to be a true professional wrestler. Even though you might show up there as such, you don't get to work that way.
Right.
And unfortunately, CM Punk does not defy that. He is still muted in some aspects. And so the GTS that we see, don't get me wrong, like I liked seeing it, but there's no way in hell that's the caliber of what Kenta was doing.
That's fair.
Ask Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bryan Danielson. We don't call him that other fucking name.
What do you think of the match, though? I mean, the CM Punk hold, Kenta unlocked, not Kenta's Hideo Itami.
Kenta takes it. For my money, Kenta takes it. And part of me says that because I'm a Kenta mark, but also because ask anybody that has faced Kenta, and they will tell you he hits really fucking hard.
He does.
Bryan Danielson has he still cannot hear correctly out of one of his ears thanks to a kick from Kenta.
Right.
So he's a legitimate pro wrestler.
Yeah.
A strong style pro wrestler at that. So yeah, no, I don't get me wrong. Again, I'm a fan of CM Punk, but Kenta takes this one. And there's going to be damage.
Well, yeah, I would love. I mean, that's again, it's. I want everyone to know that too. Just because I'm a CM Punk mark does not mean I'm thinking CM Punk is running through these guys.
Oh no, yeah, no.
I can see him losing all these guys so far. But I think for my money though, I think CM Punk can give him a match. Give him a good solid match, and but yeah, I would see CM Kenta taking the win. Because again, it's a good reminder too, because it's been a long time since I've seen a legit Kenta match. Anyways, so next one, I'm gonna stay in Japan for
Sure.
another match. This is one that I've wanted to see for a long time, and that's CM Punk versus ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh, Jesus.
Because CM Punk has a good technical wrestling background with good submissions, and Zack Sabre Jr. is the definition of submission wrestling. How he fares with ZSJ would be interesting, because ZSJ wrestles a very slow-paced style, and he picks apart limbs in ways that I've never seen picked apart before. And CM Punk is a guy that in WWE kind of did the same thing, but not to the level of ZSJ for many reasons. Again, we are talking about WWE. But man, what say you? What do you think of that match of Punk versus Sabre Jr.?
Again, man, take my money. Shit.
You're gonna be broke.
I am, dude. I'm telling you. Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. definitely probably the closest thing to a Billy Robinson that we have in pro wrestling today. And I know I might catch heat for that comment, but prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. No one else out there does that style of wrestling quite like Zack Sabre Jr. does. Yeah, Punk, again, what excites me about CM Punk and all the fantasy booking that we're doing or we're about to do is a lot of it has such a potential to see CM Punk grow as a professional wrestler. Believe it or not, comparatively speaking, he was in the early stages of his pro wrestling career. Even though he had a decent amount of time under his belt when he went to the WWE. Once he's there, don't get me wrong, he's the whole pipe bomb and the whole nine. I get that, but that's all CM Punk was. That's all he was able to be.
Right. You
don't get the opportunities of a Kenta or a Zack Sabre Jr. or a Tetsuya Naito or working in Mexico or Japan. You don't get that. Mm-hmm. He never got that.
Right.
And to me, that's the most exciting thing about all of this, is listing off these matches and thinking about where and how it would affect him, how he would grow, what kind of caliber of a professional wrestler he would become. Like that's what truly excites me about all this.
I think that's a great point to be made about anybody that goes in the WWE at a younger age, and is that you pretty much you stunt your growth because it's one style, it's one mentality instead of a variety of style. I mean I think that's for a lot of wrestling fans. That's another thing too that becomes frustrating, because you didn't get. I've watched CM Punk back even before Ring of Honor, and him being straight edge was a huge part of that, and that was a big part of that for me. And I got to see him during a time where he was still great on the mic, but you got to see a very rough. A rough version of what what would become the guy you see in WWE, and what could have been more had he left WWE and not quit pro wrestling altogether, but let's say gone to Japan or gone to Ring of Honor or gone back to Ring of Honor, I should say. But it's like at that point, again, I might get heat for this comparison too, but it's like listening to like rough cuts of Metallica.
Okay.
Like you hear the talent, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
He goes to Ring of Honor and it gets a little bit better, and he goes to WWE and it immediately becomes the Black Album. We don't get Master of Puppets. We don't get Injustice for All. We got Black Album and Load and Reload and good albums, but definitely not the best shit that we would ever hear. And I think I agree with that, because that was the frustration that I eventually got with CM Punk. You realize that he's going to continue to face the same fucking guys over and over again. It's going to always be John Cena. It's always going to be Alberto Del Rio.
And you know what? That it's not a bad thing, but again, everyone is muted.
No, I get that, but what I love about guys who don't sign with Ring of Honor, even guys who are with AEW right now, they're still going to do other shows. You're still going to have opportunities, like a John Moxley, for example, where you do AEW, but then you're doing the G1. So you still get, we got Kenny Omega, we got Cody, we got, Adam Page, we got Chris Jericho, these guys, and but eventually you're going to run through those guys, in theory, but it's like, well, on top of that, I'm going to Japan. I'm doing a tour in Japan. Maybe I'm doing other indie shows throughout and having, these dream matches, even if it's just one and done. Where WWE, it's always going to be the same, 10 to 15 guys, and that's an overstatement usually. And that's where, you're already talking about, stunning your growth by not being able to do everything, but also now you're becoming redundant too, and because it's the same thing over and over and over again. And that's the frustrating part that I have with CM Punk too. And I get it in theory. Like you look at going back to the match against Kenta, or a Tetsuya Naito, or even a 2006 Kurt Angle. In theory, CM Punk could have, where he was at in WWE, probably couldn't hang with those guys. But from what I saw, as far as the growth goes, he wasn't done growing, like as you mentioned. He wasn't done growing, and CM Punk was a legit student of the game, and I think he was one of those guys that could pick it up faster than a lot of other guys, and unfortunately, he never gave himself that opportunity to do that. As far as the match against ZSJ, I think CM Punk only scratched the surface of what he could be as a submission wrestler. He was really good at pulling submissions, really out of just whatever limb he was given. But it was very much whatever opportunity when the opportunity came, instead of where ZSJ just picks it whenever he wants. That's the difference. And if you put him in a match against ZSJ, I think CM Punk would pleasantly surprise everybody by showing what kind of submission wrestler he could be, and give it right back to Sabre Jr. At the end of the day, I don't know who would win this match. If it came down to a submission match, it's hard to bet against ZSJ. It really is. But CM Punk is one of the closest guys in the business to compete with him. I think if you give him the opportunity to grow and let him use his whole repertoire of moves, I think he can hang with ZSJ in a submission match.
Speaking of giving him opportunities to grow, I would have loved for him to take excursion, if you will, and I really wish he would have the opportunity to go wrestle in Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah.
It's quite honestly, I think we're 10 years and 4 days since we lost Mitsuhara Misawa.
Mm-hmm.
And just having the opportunity to be under his tutelage alone as part of that organization,
right,
would have done wonders for someone like CM Punk. Would have made him more well-rounded as a pro wrestler. But at any given time, he could have been roster mates with the likes of Marufuji,
mm-hmm,
and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Kenta.
Right.
All at the same time. All of those guys were junior aces for Pro Wrestling Noah. Under Misawa. You really can't ask for a better breeding ground for a more well-rounded CM Punk, for my money.
Right, I agree.
For him to come out of that, take time, a couple years there, come out of that, and even if he went back to the WWE, shit, you're talking about a completely different beast. Someone who could, not that he could, I'm not saying he couldn't, the way things went down, but I think he could have easily given ECW all of the life that it needed had he went and did that little bit of excursion somewhere else.
Right.
Again, not necessarily under Pro Wrestling Noah, but somewhere else, and come back and give him back to the WWE product. I think he was one of those rare instances with this company, as we watch the Road Warriors in the ring right now,
right,
where he could have gotten away with some stuff that normally most people couldn't. And it would have been interesting. It definitely would have been interesting.
There's a lot in Japan that I could talk about, man, and I think it's fair to say that we're probably going to do a follow-up episode with this. So I want to do one more match.
Let's do one more.
One more Japan match.
Sure.
And there was two guys. Actually, there's three guys that came across my name, but they came across my head. But I want to stick with this one because this one seems to be the match that I've been dying to see for a long time, and that is against Kota Ibushi. Ibushi is one of those guys like a CM Punk, where he's a hybrid. He's strong style, but he's technical wrestling. He's got it all. He's the high flying as well. Kota Ibushi, you talked about Tetsuya Naito. Maybe you wouldn't start him with Tetsuya Naito. If I'm going to bring in somebody like CM Punk, I think Ibushi would be one of the first guys I'd love to see him in there with. Because two guys who are standout guys who are on the cusp of being the biggest names in the business. And it's only fitting that you put them in there against each other to see whose time is it now. And CM Punk versus Ibushi, to me, it would have been an instant classic. And it would have been interesting to see where CM Punk's submissions fit in this. Where his technical wrestling fits with this, on top of where Kota Ibushi, who also has technical wrestling, but he also has strong style, and he's also a powerful guy. I think he's definitely not. I know he's a much more powerful than CM Punk. It'd be interesting to see if CM Punk had the stamina to last in there with Ibushi, because that's another guy too. That Ibushi stamina for days.
Yeah.
What say you? I mean, to me, this has been a great first challenge for CM Punk.
It's a show stealer. Because let's face it, that if there's ever been one thing that's always rang true about CM Punk, is that you're right. He does answer to whatever is given to him. Mm-hmm. If you're giving him half-ass matches, you're going to get half-ass matches from CM Punk.
Right.
If you're in there and you're giving 150%, he's going to give you 150%. It makes all of the difference. He's just one of those types of athletes. Mm. You can't sit there and deny that those athletes exist. Our beloved world champion Chicago Bulls, mm-hmm. picked apart by the media at times, where, hey, they're only playing to the strength of whatever team they're facing. It was the truth. So what, we had Michael Jordan. So what, we had Scottie Pippen and, whoever. they played to the ability of their opponent. If their opponent was giving them 150%, that's the Chicago Bulls you got.
Mm-hmm.
So it happens.
It does.
And CM Punk is one of those at the caliber of athletes. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but
it is frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, hell, we could have seen him go up against the likes of like a Savio Vega.
Yeah.
In the WWE. Again, Savio, awesome fucking worker. There's no denying it.
Mm-hmm.
He muted in the WWE, WWF, what have you. But outside of that organization, we got a whole new ballgame.
Yeah.
You know? One to the point where, guess what? Savio is going to give you 150%. It's going to be a physical 150%.
Absolutely.
Does CM Punk last because of stamina issues? Does he take the piss of a beating or beating of a piss,
mm-hmm.
however you want to call it, and match it? It would remain to be seen, but definitely interesting. I'm
gonna do one more match because there's a plethora of guys. So I'm gonna do an AEW match, but it's not the AEW match that I think everyone thinks I'm gonna do. Because I'm going to wait on that one.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is CM Punk versus really the guy that started it all with AEW, not the Revolution, and that's Cody. This is a match that we probably got in WWE, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Definitely not.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, again,
it's not the same. It's not the same thing. CM Punk versus Cody. Again, not the one everyone thinks I was going to go with, because you got to tune into part 2 to hear that one. But CM Punk versus Cody, two guys who have a huge chip on their shoulder at this point. Mm-hmm. Because of the same reason. Different stories, but same reasoning. They go out there and they show the world why they are main event players. For me, without ever seeing it, potential match of the year before the bell rings, because of where the mindset is. And because of what we just talked about with CM Punk, type of athlete CM Punk is, and the type of player that Cody continues to prove that he is, I think what you saw from Cody at Double or Nothing is nothing from what you see from Cody in a match against CM Punk.
There's the big X factor. There's the ability to tell a story, and for my money, Cody tells a better story than CM Punk, but he's also the kind of guy where, like, hey, we're going to do this kind of match, and I'm going to carry at least that aspect of the match.
Right.
Trust me, we're going to get it over, and it's going to be one hell of a ride. You're going to give me 150% at that, and it works. You're absolutely right. High caliber match, great storytelling. Two guys with chips on their shoulder. It has all the makings of what could be an instant classic. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to me, CM Punk, it's fitting that we end it in AEW, because that's where CM Punk really belongs. If CM Punk is ever going to come back to pro wrestling, which I hope he does. I know he's got the MMA gig going on right now. I don't know how long that's going to last, as far as the contract is concerned. But, I want to see him back in a pro wrestling ring. And I know I get it, he's gotten older now and time has passed, but he's got something left to give to this business. And I hope it's with AEW, because there's a handful of guys that I want to talk about in part 2 of what we could possibly see in AEW, including the one that everyone's probably thinking of. But you're going to have to wait till part 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an episode of the following contest, the 20x20 Ring Cruise exclusive podcast for YouTube. And again, only part one of a multi-part ordeal here with the one and only Second City Saint, CM Punk. If you've enjoyed what we've done, please keep on checking us out exclusively on YouTube. 20x20crew.com/podcast/YouTube. Man, I could do this all fucking day.
You gave me a month. All I needed was a day. So.
Again, our home on the web is 20x20crew.com. Facebook.com/20x20crew is our Facebook page. Come talk to us. Fantasy book with us over at Facebook.com/20x20talk. That's our official group there on Facebook. Hey, tweet us. Tweet us some fantasy bookings over at Twitter.com/20x20crew. If pictures are your thing, you're the photography type, hey, you can fantasy book that way too. Photoshop some shit together, throw it at us over on Instagram, Instagram.com/20x20crew. And always available via email, 20x20crew@gmail.com for the time being. And with that, this concludes part one of at least two parts of all things fantasy booked CM Punk, the one and only Second City Saint. I have been Joe. This has been Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been fucking fantastic. And until next time, we will see you in the ring.
John Cena, while you lay there, hopefully as uncomfortable as you possibly can be, I want you to listen to me. I want you to digest this, because before I leave in 3 weeks with your WWE Championship, I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest. I don't hate you, John. I don't even dislike you. I do like you. I like you a hell of a lot more than I like most people in the back. I hate this idea that you're the best. Because you're not. I'm the best. I'm the best in the world. There's one thing you're better at than I am, and that's kissing Vince McMahon's ass. You're as good as kissing Vince's ass as Hulk Hogan was. I don't know if you're as good as Dwayne, though. He's a pretty good ass kisser. Always was and still is. Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall. I am the best wrestler in the world. I've been the best ever since day one when I walked into this company, and I've been vilified and hated since that day because Paul Heyman saw something in me that nobody else wanted to admit. That's right, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. You know who else was a Paul Heyman guy? Brock Lesnar. And he split just like I'm splitting, but the biggest difference between me and Brock is I'm going to leave with the WWE Championship. I've grabbed so many of Vincent K. McMahon's imaginary brass rings that it's finally dawned on me that they're just that. They're completely imaginary. The only thing that's real is me, and the fact that day in and day out for almost 6 years I have proved to everybody in the world that I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even at commentary. Nobody can touch me. And yet, no matter how many times I prove it, I'm not on your lovely little collector cups. I'm not on the cover of the program. I'm barely promoted. I don't get to be in movies. I'm certainly not on any crappy show on the USA Network. I'm not on the poster of WrestleMania. I'm not in the signature that's produced at the start of the show. I'm not on Conan O'Brien. I'm not on Jimmy Fallon. But the fact of the matter is I should be. And trust me, this isn't sour grapes. But the fact that Dwayne is in the main event of WrestleMania next year and I'm not makes me sick. Oh, and hey, let me get something straight. Those of you who are cheering me right now, you are just the biggest part of me leaving as anything else. Because you're the ones that are sipping out of those collector cups right now. You're the ones that buy those programs that my face isn't on the cover of. And then at 5 in the morning at the airport, you try to shove it in my face so you can get an autograph and try to sell it on eBay because you're too lazy to go get a real job. I'm leaving with the WWE Championship on July 17th, and hell, who knows, maybe I'll go defend it in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe I'll go back to Ring of Honor. Hey, Colt Cabana, how you doing? The reason I'm leaving is you people, because after I'm gone, you're still gonna pour money into this company. I'm just a spoke on the wheel. The wheel's gonna keep turning, and I understand that. But Vince McMahon's gonna make money to spite himself. He's a millionaire who should be a billionaire. You know why he's not a billionaire? It's because he surrounds himself with glad-handing, nonsensical, douchebag yes-men like John Laurinaitis, who's gonna tell him everything that he wants to hear. And I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's dead, but the fact is, it's gonna get taken over by his idiotic daughter and his doofus son-in-law and the rest of his stupid family. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon, all right? Can we do this whole bully campaign?
This episode of the 20x20 Ring Crew is brought to you by GameStop. GameStop, where you can buy new and used video games, consoles, and accessories. Got games you no longer play? Trade them in for cash or credit towards a new game to add to your collection. Become a pro member and save even more money on your purchases, trade-ins, and even get special offers not available to everyone else. If games aren't your thing, GameStop has a wide range of toys, apparel, board games, and other collectibles, including pop vinyls, including exclusives not sold anywhere else. Visit us at 20x20crew.com/podcast/GameStop to find out how you can get started. And remember, power to the players.